Minnesotans are set to end. Here to tell us more is Robin Manthe. She is the Director of Neighbor Services at Second Harvest Heartland. Robin, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Doing well.
Thanks. I know we had you on before. I asked you this question before, and I'll ask it again because there's people at home that probably don't know. Can you just explain to us what exactly are SNAP benefits?
SNAP benefits are benefits for purchasing food. So think of it as a debit card that can specifically be used to purchase food. And it's for residents of Minnesota who are low income enough to qualify. So it's income verified program.
How many people are going to be affected by this SNAP shortage that comes around on Saturday?
444,000 Minnesotans is the number of people who receive SNAP benefits, and they will all be impacted. So it's a national and statewide impact.
And so what happens to them after Saturday? Like where do they go to get food in theory if they rely completely on SNAP benefits to get that?
Yeah. So if you have SNAP benefits that have been loaded onto your card from past months, for example, from October, you can still use those in grocery stores after November 1st. However, no new benefits will be loaded until there's a resolution at the federal level on the government shutdown and funding of SNAP benefits. So in the meantime, we are here at Second Harvest and in the emergency food system to be a support in any way possible that we can. We are stretching to be of support, but this is a huge gap to fill. So would you like to hear a little bit about where people can go or what's helpful now?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Rick Santelli is standing by. Rick, take it away.
Yes, let's check out what's going on with regard to jobless claims. 197,000. That's once again under 200,000, which was expected. And last month's 187 becomes 188 as we continue to hover in numbers that really were the late 60s. 197, though, of course, does comp. We've had some numbers in that area. 197 would take us to the last week in April when it was 190. These are unbelievably contained numbers. And once again, I'm not sure how much info it gives us. Probably a lot of fraud taken out of these programs over the last year. Continuing claims under 1.8 million, 1,782,000. Once again, these numbers continue to be well behaved. We've been now below 1.8 million since the middle of June. Let's go to personal income and spending for June. Up 0.2 on income, a little light. We're expecting up 0.3. Up 0.2 is actually the lightest. Well, not long. It was unchanged in April. And remember, we're coming off up 0.7 on income. And even if you consider, the wage issues and inflation, up 0.7 was the strongest going back 5 years, July of 21. Spending up 0.3, 1/10 lighter than expected. Up 0.3 also equates to up 0.4, which was April. To give you a parameter, last month gets upgraded to up 0.9, which makes it the strongest number still since January of 23. Real spending accounting for inflation comes in spot on up 0.4. Last month becomes 0.4 from 0.3. Month over month PCE down 0.1 as expected. Last month moved up to 0.5%. So 0.6 difference to the downside. Minus 1/10 would be the lightest level going back to basically COVID era, April of 2020 when it was minus 0.4. If we look at year over year PCE, that is coming in at 3.7, largely as expected. That would be the lightest level since March of this year. Now let's get into what I consider the most important numbers. Core PCE month over month up 1/10. We're expecting up 0.2. That would be the lightest level going back. It would equal March of 25 to find a smaller number. You're in May of 24. So basically over 2 years. And the most important number, the one I look at anyway, core PCE year over year coming in exactly as expected at 3.3. Don't see a revision to last month's 3.4. 3.3 would basically equal April. To find a lighter number, you're in March at 3.25. Now, there is an asterisk here, and everybody's going to be bringing it up.
We ordered 21 items. $135.66 was the total on those 21 items.
I went to the store tonight and bought a pack of ground beef, a pack of buns, a bag of potatoes, and a bottle of oil. How much do you think that cost me?
It is $303 for 87, and we're gonna see how much it costs.
Watch your price board tick past a number that felt impossible last month. Now, watch your face do the math in real time. That flinch is the story. Start at the pump.
So I'm at the point now where I think it's cheaper to go out to dinner. I went to the store tonight and bought a pack of ground beef, a pack of buns, a bag of potatoes, and a bottle of oil. How much do you think that cost me? $50 fucking dollars. $50 for a hamburger dinner to make French fries and have hamburgers on a bun. No lettuce, no tomato, no cheese, no bacon. Hamburgers, buns, oil, and a bag of fucking potatoes. I make pretty good money. Thought I had a good job. I think it'd be cheaper to go out to dinner than to buy hamburgers or to make hamburgers and French fries at your own fucking house. Has anyone let the government know that people can't afford to fucking eat? Are we supposed to live off ramen? This is fucking insanity.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad.
Hey, we're gonna make her pay for this.
I'm so sorry, do I need to pay? Please, can I just pay you $50, please? No. Please, can we just pay for it, please?
How much, Yasser?
This 100, this 200, this 100, and this 120. 120.
320?
Yeah.
Alright, shalom. Before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, meaning coming in the name. Ba means coming in, Ha means the, Sham means name, Rakar means spirit, Kodash means holy. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, and shalom to you sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word of truth and sincerity, and shalom to you sincere sisters that are listening in silence as the scriptures command you to do so. I am the brother Mashiach Razakah from Prophets of Good Works Camp, Las Vegas, Nevada, and double honors to the elders of the elect of the house of David. And pretty much this lesson is going to be titled as Inflation of, gas, food, and cutting of food stamps. Now, I showed 3 different videos. Now, one of the videos was 9 months ago, but I just showed as an example in this video of food stamps being cut. Now, I showed another video of the economy growth the economy growth is not growing. Okay, it's barely even any growth this year so far. And also, I played another video of an individual saying he bought 4 items. He bought some potatoes, a bag of potatoes. He said he paid for some oil. And I think he said he got him some meat, some ground beef meat. And it came up to $50. Okay. Now, there's a huge cutting in food stamps. Trump is cutting food stamps. Okay. He's also cutting Section 8. Okay, he's going to be doing it. Now, he ain't officially did it yet with as far as the Section 8 is, but now it's starting to get, affecting people with Section 8 because now Trump has it, the percentage of Section 8 to be cut where people actually has to have a job, and paying most of the part of their rent instead of having, most of it paid off, with Section 8. The person because I had a relative that used to have it. When they would have Section 8 would pay most of your rent. So you would only have to pay the remainder of it. I'll say maybe like $200, maybe $400. Now, they only pay a small portion of it. So they gotta pay the whole $1,000 now. You know, the whole 1,500. Section 8 only covers the 10% of that rent, and it's starting to bug people out. Also, out there in Minnesota, Trump cut food stamps out there, so they're really struggling out there when it comes to the food stamps. Okay, they're suffering really bad out there in Minnesota. Okay, and it's affecting everybody. Everyone's getting the spirit of uncomfortable, and this is why Elder Apostle Gabar said 2 years ago, you know, when he did his video, he said, brothers got to start, you know, going from comfortable to uncomfortable, because things are beginning to occur. Things are getting, you know, are starting to happen. We seeing things happen. The inflation is just getting worse. You know, for me now, like like I said, I live up here in Summerlin, in Las Vegas. I'm way far out of the city in Vegas. I'm far away. I'm probably 50 minutes out. I'm probably not far from Centennial. So I'm like way on the outskirts. If you from Vegas, you know where Centennial is. I'm way on the outskirts from the strip. So out here, you know, there's a gas, station, literally like right around the corner from my house, and the gas there is like damn near $6, right? And it's it dropped a little bit. It dropped down to about 5.49, somewhere around there, but it was at 5.99. It was at damn near $6, but it dropped a little bit. So to put gas in my car, you know, I have to literally put damn near $60 to $70 in my tank. Now, before all of this inflation, I was able to put $30 to $20 in my tank, probably $20, $25 in my tank to fill it up. Now I gotta put $70 to fill up my tank. To literally like fill it up, I have to put like $70 in it, $65 in it. So, a lot of people are starting to get in the spirit of distress and anguish. You also got bills. There's another video that I have. I don't want to make this video too long, but there's another video I have out here in Vegas, and it's talking about the mortgages of the housing, how much of a struggle it's becoming. And a lot of people are moving out of their houses out here in Vegas, and they're getting them RVs, and they're pretty much renting a space because it's just so expensive out here. Like even the jobs. And I'll say this, I know I'm rambling a lot. I'll say this before I start this video. If you're a brother out there that do have a job and is paying, a decent amount of money, keep that job. All right, keep it. Don't be, quitting a job and not working, bro, because now it's starting to get really hard to get a job now. The jobs are not even hiring as much as they used to back then. So just be mindful of that. So hey, getting back to this is hopefully this lesson is edifying. 2 Timothy 3:1. So this is going into Jacob trouble. And it's pushing with the economy growth, how it is, it's pushing for the digital currency. Okay. Fiat currency is no value, 2 Timothy 3:1, it says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the meaning of the word perilous there, it says perilous meaning full of risks, unsafe, or extremely dangerous times. And that's what we're coming into. We're coming into dangerous times. All right, this is leading into Jacob trouble. All right, the global economic collapse. Okay, that's going to come upon every single individual. Okay, every single person in the world. All right, this is Jacob's trouble, which is leading to. And we, as Israelite men, got to keep our faith in Yahweh Shem Shai and pray to get through it. Because the scriptures even mentions it in Acts 14:22. Because we literally got to go through Jacob trouble first before we can be saved. So that's going to be the hour of temptation. This is Jeremiah 30:5. It says, "For thus saith the Lord." Anytime you see Lord in caps, that's talking about the Heavenly Father. We have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace, because we're in the times of mourn and distress and anguish. We're not in a time of peace, relaxation, how it was in the 90s. Okay. Now we're in a time of fear, turmoil, affliction, okay, stress. Each month bills is getting high. Light bills is going up to $3, $4, $500, like car notes every month. Especially in the summertime. It's crazy. It says, "For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace." It says, verse 6, "As ye know and see, whether a man doeth travail with child, and a man does not travail with child, a woman travails with child," right? That word travail means to suffer pain or painful efforts. Okay, when a woman is in the labor of having a baby, she goes through those trembling birth pains, right? Those trailing, birth pains, right? Travailing, Salakia, birth pains. And it says, "Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his lungs as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." And that paleness there is feeble and weak. Okay? You have a lot of individuals that's going to have that paleness. When all hell literally breaks off out here in this place called America, Babylon the Great, we're going to see a lot of people in the spirit of paleness. Okay, feeble and weak, faint. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to be freaking out. They're going to be bugging out. People are going to take matters into their own hands, especially when that RFID chip is made mandatory and is made the new currency, because they got to get rid of fiat currency. The economy growth is not growing. Okay, it's not growing. So, they're going to have to reset and bring in a whole new system, which is going to lead to the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, to be the new currency. It says, "Alice for that day is great, so there is none like it," right? Because the times that we are heading into are, again, those perilous times, okay? Those dangerous times, okay? Those dangerous times. It says, "Alice for that day is great, so there's none like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble." Okay, and Jacob's trouble is not just going to be on the heathen nations. Okay, Jacob's trouble, we're not already in Jacob's trouble. Okay, we're not, going to be delivered before Jacob's trouble. Okay, we literally, as Israelites, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, literally have to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. Okay, and there's scriptures to back that up. Now, this is Daniel 12:1. It says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up," Michael the archangel, right? You got Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, and Michael. You got Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, and Michael the archangel. I say Michelangelo. I don't know where that came from, so I get. But you have the four archangels, right? You got Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and Michael, the archangel. Okay? And it says, "At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people." Right? And it says, "And there shall be a time of trouble." Right? Going to that perilous time there. Dangerous times. Jacob's trouble. Right? "Such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time." Right? Because Jacob's trouble is going to be global. And it's going to be a very dangerous time. All right. And it says, "Such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered." Right. So we got to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. And it says, "Everyone that shall be found written in the book." So there you go. We have to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. We're not going to be delivered before Jacob's trouble. We're not already in Jacob's trouble. And Jacob's trouble is not just going to be on the heathen nations. It's going to be on the Israelites. It's going to be over. That's why it's called Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, right? Because this is going to come upon the world. This is going to be a global thing, okay? And in Jacob's trouble, there's going to be so much crime That is not going to be funny. And we can use the purge as an example. It's going to be like the purge. That's what Jacob Trouble is pretty much like. The purge, right? Is there no calling, no 911? Crime is going to increase on a higher scale. And the purge, just watching the purge, that's amateur to actual Jacob Trouble. You know, that's just a set of little, even though that's like horrific and tragic, you know, watching the purge forever and all the purges, that's light work compared to Jacob Trouble. Jacob Trouble gonna be twice as worse than that, you know. But we gotta go through Jacob Trouble, and what are we being tried on in that time? Our faith. Acts 14:22. Listen to this. It says, conforming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. So the disciples had to do that. They went through their trials and tribulations, right? A lot of them were put to death, and they were tried on what? Their faith. Okay, and it's coming for us. This is why the elders say, you know, take this truth seriously, build up in this truth, build up in this faith, right? Build up in these things, because the times that we're coming into is going to be perilous times, dangerous times, right? And you're going to have to be built up in the faith. It's going to be a lot of Judas Iscariots in that time. It's like what Elder Apostle Rama said years ago. It's going to be a lot of Judas Iscariots. You're going to have brothers betraying brothers, and brothers is not going to know. You're going to have individuals betraying brothers. Now, I pray over here, the brothers that I'm with over here in Prophets of Good Works, you know, our brotherhood is really strong over here. You know, there's nothing the brothers in our group can't ask me because they can get it. And you brothers know, you know, any brother in need or any brother I fellowship where I talk to, they know, you know, I always support my brothers when they need it, they got it, you know. So, you know, our brotherhood is very tight. I pray that, you know, our brotherhood is like that in Simon Jacob Trouble. Yes, we're not going to be around each other, right? It's going to be every brother for themselves. There's going to be no calling brothers and calling elders and explaining their situations. Individuals are going to have to go through them on their own, okay? And that's the time that we're coming into. Acts 14:22, conforming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. Because that's what you're going to need to make it through Jacob Trouble, is having the faith. Okay? And it says, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of heaven. So we got to go through Jacob Trouble first before we can be saved. We got to go through that. We got to go through tribulation in order to enter into the kingdom. So we got to go through it. All right? And Jacob Trouble is not going to just be a handy dandy, just easy thing because you're in the truth now. The Lord is just going to got you, and then you're going to be totally safe. No. The Lord going to try you in his faith. Now, the Lord is going to work for his elect and get them through those situations. But it's not going to be, Jacob Trouble is not going to be a cakewalk. There's going to be so many brothers put in trial, temptation situations. Like the elders say, for example, you're going to have, you know, brothers that have wives and children, you know, their wife is going to take get chipped up and get the kids chipped up. What are you going to do when that happens? Now, a lot of the individuals say they're still not going to do that, but hey, you're not in that moment yet. You don't know how shit going to play out, how stuff going to turn out, and you don't know what decision you're going to make. It's easy to say right now as you speak, oh, I'm not going to get it. It's easy to say that, but when that moment happens, it's a whole different ballgame. Your body and your mind reacts totally different. Because now it's just not words that's being said in a video. It's actually occurring in your face. When that moment comes, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, what are you going to do? So this is why we say, man, we got to be built up in the faith. Because times are coming. Perilous times are coming. It's going to be every individual for themselves. Right? Zechariah 14:2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses raveled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. And this is talking about Jacob Trouble here. That's what this is going into. Zechariah 14:12, that's talking about Jacob's trouble. Okay, that's what that's going into. When it says, and the city shall be taken, and the houses raffled, and the women ravished, that's talking about Jacob Trouble. That's what that's going into. That's going into Jacob's trouble. Okay, and that's what's going to happen. That's literally what's going to happen, man. Second Esdras 16 and 70, it says, "For there shall be in every place and in every next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." It says, "They shall be like mad men, sparing none, but shall spoil, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." It says, "For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses." This is talking about Jacob's trouble here. You see that? And it says, "Then shall they be known who are my chosen," right? "And they shall be tried as the gold in the fire." Every single brother in this truth, all of us, is going to be tried on our faith when these times come. Okay? And it's going to be, again, it's going to be a lot of betrayal going on. It's going to be a lot of Judas Iscariot's, brothers that didn't broke bread with brothers that knew brothers personally, that knew them well, is going to be betrayed. Yahweh Shai went through it. He went through it. His own brothers in his camp betrayed him. Now, they told the Lord they weren't going to do it, but they wind up doing it. Peter denied the Messiah 3 times, right? Judas Iscariot, what he did, he betrayed the Messiah for money. So you had that happen. Yahweh Shai and them had a camp, and his own brothers betrayed him, right? You had Peter again. Peter denied the Messiah 3 times. Judas Iscariot turned in the Messiah for money, right? So you had that happen, and that's going to happen, right? This is going to happen. You ain't going to be able to trust no one in the time of Jacob's trouble. That's why the elders are saying, man, build up in the faith. Because you're going to have to endure through Jacob's trouble literally on your own. Ain't going to be no calling brothers. Ain't going to be none of that. Especially if an EMP attack happens in Jacob. There ain't going to be no calling brothers. Right? Second Esdras 16:74, it says, "Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." See, the days of trouble at hand. Jacob's trouble. Okay? It's coming. You're going to have a global economic collapse. Right? You're going to have a power, an EMP attack. No power, no lights. Right? People out there taking hot showers. You're going to be taking cold baths. Ain't going to be no hot water. The water is going to be so contaminated, you're not even going to be able to even take a shower. You women are going to be smelling and stinking because you ain't going to be able to bathe. It's going to be a horrible time. Okay, that's why it's called Jacob's trouble. You're going to have raping going on. Women are going to be getting raped. All these women have been talking about they don't need no man. They're going to need man. And women are already starting to crack now. We're barely in the beginning stages of distress and anguish, and women is bugging out. Women right now are being miserable and upset that they got to pay all this money for rent. They getting upset. They got all these kids. Shit is starting to turn against them. And it's stressing these women out. They don't know how to react. They over here doing videos talking about how miserable it is to have a job and how they gotta work. And now they talking about they want a man and this and that and how they need a man. It's too late. All of us men is tired of dealing. Man, I've been single for almost 5 years. I'm not looking for no women right now, bro. I'm good where I'm at, bro. I've been so successful right now in my personal life since I've been single. I've been having more money. It's a lot. It might be carnal, but I've been able to have a lot more funds being single than being in a relationship. Being married in a relationship, I'm always either not having funds or having little crumbs being in a relationship. Now that I'm single, I have so much funds, man. I'm not boasting about it, but I have more funds to be at least stable enough to be able to have enough over after paying bills. And this is why that's a whole different topic, but it's stressful being married and all that and tied down and all that. For me, it's stressful. Since I've been single, I've been at peace. I have able to make it more. Right? It says, "Behold, the days of trouble are at hand." And this is going to be the time that we're coming into, getting back to the story of Jacob's trouble, getting back to the breakdown, right? So you're going to have women even stressing you out. If you have a wife in time of Jacob's trouble, women crack under pressure. What are we going to do next? 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 We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. And some women are not patient. So many women As I said, so many women, man, they're gonna give into that chip because they're not patient. They don't know when to just chill out, relax. They're not gonna do that. They gonna, you know, they gonna bug out. That's what's gonna happen. They gonna bug out and they gonna because our women, the so-called Negroes, Hispanic, Native American Indian women, have trusted the government and depended on the government for years with these benefits. So they're gonna up and jump and take the chip. That's gonna happen. So you brother got a wife or a woman that's been on government benefits, be prepared, man. She's gonna do that shit. She is not gonna sit and have a faith like she say she is. Women bug out and crack under pressure. They do. You can get a woman to do anything you want when you have her under pressure. Literally. This is 2 Timothy 3 and 12. It says, yea, and all that will live godly in Yahweh Shai shall suffer persecution. And this is what is coming for us. We've been doing all these videos. We didn't show our face on camera all these years. We've been talking about Esau. We've been talking about his kingdom falling. We've been talking about all his agendas that he's been trying to push. You think Esau ain't fucking forgot? You think Esau forgot that shit? No, he has every single brother documented. He know who we are. He knows where we live at. He knows what jobs we work at. He knows exactly where we teach at. Esau knows. All right, now we don't give a damn because hey, we doing the will of the Lord, but Esau is coming for us. Even if you've been put as a demon in this ministry, he's coming for you. He's not finna say, well, we coming after these guys only, and you've been kicked out of a group or separated from brothers, so we're not coming for you. No, Esau coming for every single individual. Every single individual in this truth that did a video talking about Esau, Edom, and giving the identity of who Esau is, talking about his kingdom, talking about these high power elites, they're coming for you. There ain't gonna be no separation. Esau is putting everybody in that fucking circle. He coming for you. If you've been talking about you're a Hebrew Israelite, you've been calling upon the names of Yahweh Shemashai, you've been talking about the Lord gonna destroy this place and we're gonna be the elect and all that, Esau is coming for you. Now, we don't give a damn. I'm not sounding fearful. We don't give a damn because, hey, we doing what the Lord commanded us to do. But Esau is coming for us. That's why I'm reading this. 2 Timothy 3 and 12. Yea, and all that will live godly in Yahweh Shai shall suffer persecution. It is coming for you. It is coming for you, especially the elders. Because these men been teaching the truth for years. Esau is coming for them, and they know that. That's why they telling us we got to be prepared. Because they're prepared, man. The elders, those are experienced men, they're prepared. Us on this end, the soldiers in this thing, the guys that's carrying out the ministry, learning and following those men, we got to be prepared. They're prepared. We sincerely really got to be prepared. It's easy to say, I'm prepared already. I've been in the truth 12 years. That don't mean a motherfucking thing. You're not, are you prepared and stable in your mind? Spiritually, are you really prepared? Literally, are your mind fully persuaded as you say it is? Because it's easy to say stuff when things ain't nothing going on. When shit begin to fucking pop off, are you still going to be prepared and stable up there in your mind and in your spirit? Because it's like when shit changes and turns, that's where people's minds and spirits start shifting. Because that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. But getting to this, I rambled long enough. 2nd Esdras 15 and 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. See, so the Lord is going to bring forth many plagues, right? The sword, famine, death, and destruction. And that's what's coming in the time of Jacob trouble. The sword, famine, death, and destruction. Right? You're going to have a lot of crime and a lot of mayhem taking place on the earth. Right? Verse 6, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. See? Wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Right? It says, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Look at the agendas that Esau is pushing. We see all the agendas that Esau is pushing in this thing. We see it, right? His inflations, right? His gas prices, right? His man-made famines. There's food barely being put on the shelves. You know, people are suffering. People suffering, right? They're barely making it. People are starting to have food banks, right? They're barely having food banks, right? And I was going to read this article. That was weird. I was going to read this article. I don't know why it took me out. I was going to read this article here. Let's see if this is it. this article right here. It says Donald Trump's food stamps overhaul is beginning to bite. Right? So now they're starting to have food banks. Because remember, Trump has put a cut on food stamps. All right? He's limited a lot of amounts of food stamps, right? And these are in other states. But as you can see, I'm not going to read this because it's going to make my lesson even longer. But there's food banks starting to open up again because the pricing of food is getting ridiculous, man. Especially with the meats, like you could barely even get in the 90s. You could be able to get at least about like a hella fucking slabs of meat, man. Back in the day, now, like bro, if you get a slab of chicken, bro, like over here where I'm at in Summerlin, I don't know for down there, but over here on this end of Summerlin, chicken over here is probably like what, $15. It depends on what store you're going to. Okay, but in certain areas over here, man, it's $15-$20. For some steak over here, it's probably like $50-$60, bro. If you go into Albertsons out here, man, they steaks is like $50, bro. It's ridiculous. That's enough to put gas in my car and pay my phone bill, right? Getting back to this, verse 6, it says, "For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Right? The man-made famines, the gas prices, the inflations, all right, mortgages is inflating. Like it's causing a lot of anguish and distress. And if people are still getting laid off jobs. You know, it's a lot of things that's taking place on the earth, right? Verse 10, it says, "Behold, my people is led as a flock to slaughter, and I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt." Now, when it talks about Egypt, that's not talking about ancient Egypt. That's talking about this place called America. This place called America, which is Babylon the Great, is modern day Egypt. It says, verse 11, "But I will bring them through a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." And that's what the Lord is getting ready to do. The Lord is going to destroy this place called Babylon the Great. This place called Babylon the Great is fallen. Verse 12, it says, "Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it." Because that's what the Lord is coming. When he makes his second coming, he's going to destroy this place. The Lord is going to destroy this place. Okay? The Lord is bringing forth all of these plagues. Right? The Lord is bringing forth all these plagues. But prophecies got to be fulfilled first before the Lord can come back. All right, these are prophecies that haven't been fulfilled yet. Let's skip down to verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." And that word woe means warning or destruction. It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hand." That's leading into that spirit of sedition. Because when that RFID chip is made the new currency, everybody's not going to comply to that chip. Everybody know what that chip is. Everybody know what the RFID chip is. Everybody's not going to comply to that chip. Everybody's not going to take it. So that's going to lead into what? The spirit of sedition. And the word sedition means revolt against, rebellion against, rebel against something. That's what that means. Okay? That's leading to the spirit of sedition. That's why it says, "For the sword and destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands." That's leading into this the spirit of sedition. Everybody's not going to take that chip, right? And it says, verse 16, "For there shall be sedition among men," right? "Invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power," right? Everybody's not going to comply. They're going to rebel, right? And that's going to lead into what? Martial law, Salakia, right? Which is Jacob trouble. It says, verse 17, "A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able." Right now, we're able to walk where we want to walk into. But when Jacob trouble comes, there's going to be military all on the streets, and there's going to be checkpoints all over the place. Everybody's going to be quarantined to go into their house. Or they're going that time, ain't no telling. They might have a quarantine. They might have it where they wind up just grabbing and taking people off the street and putting them on them concentration, taking them on them buses and then taking them to them concentration camps. because that's mainly gonna be a part of Jacob trouble. Is them concentration camps, people getting guillotined and put to death. Okay, because that's also a part of Jacob's trouble. Okay, these concentration camps, these FEMA camps, right? Because that's also a part of Jacob trouble. It says, a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able, right? So this is what is coming. This is what is going to be happening, right? Verse 18, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled and the houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid, because it's going to be total mayhem out here. Everybody's not going to take no shit and everybody is not going to comply. It's going to be civil unrest out here. We're going to be seeing things happen literally outside. Like right now, it's all quiet. You're going to be hearing bombs, wars, blow up of cars. I'm telling you, it's going to be like that movie Bushwick. Bushwick was a very good movie because it's a perfect example of Jacob trouble. And that's just an example. Jacob trouble is going to be twice as worse than that. Okay? But that's a perfect example. The things that men or people are going to be seeing is going to be blowing their minds. You're going to be, I'm telling you, when Jacob trouble hit, you're going to be seeing women get raped. Now, I'm not saying we going to do that, but there's going to be a lot of women getting raped out here. Those that ain't got no man, that's been talking about they independent, they don't need no man and fuck a man and all that shit is going to go out the window. Because when you're a woman by yourself, with 4 kids, you don't got no man. You a single woman with 4 kids and you don't got no man. All your benefits is taken away from you. And you got men trying to break into your house weighing 200 and something pounds, 260 something pounds, built like Ivan Drago. You're going to need a man to protect you. And like the elders say, don't be surprised. In Jacob trouble, you got like 10 to 15 women trying to be up under you. Because they're not going to give a fuck about how a man look. They're not going to give a fuck about him being ugly and how tall, how they are now. You got to be 6 foot. They ain't going to give a fuck about that. Or you got to be 6 foot. You got to be 6 foot for me to date. All that shit, all them rules and protocols these women got, that shit is not going to matter. Because they're going to be so freaked out and so terrified. They ain't going to give a fuck if a man is looking like a sumo wrestler. They going to want to be under a man to be protected. But guess what? Men ain't going to want to deal with you. Who going to want to deal with your nagging ass? Especially in the time of Jacob trouble. A man going to be worried about food. He is not going to be worried about your private area. Like, men ain't going to give a fuck about none of that shit in Jacob trouble. It's going to be every woman. It's going to be every person for themselves. Not woman, but every person for themselves, man. You know? But we're not saying that we're going to do that, but that's the time it's going to come up to, because you ain't going to be able to call 911. 911 is definitely going, in Jacob trouble, it's going to go out of business. Ain't going to be no calling cops like how you do now, right? It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled and the houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid, because the things that's going to take place. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Even your day one homeboy going to betray you. One that you done did shit with. He going to betray you, man. Right? It says, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and the great tribulation. So this is what's going to happen and this is what's going to occur. Okay? And when this happens, this is why we need to be built up in the faith, because this is leading into Jacob trouble. Jacob trouble is in the Bible, and Jacob trouble is a prophecy that will happen. Now, it hasn't occurred yet, but it will occur. It's written in the scriptures and it's prophesied. So, hey, hopefully this lesson is edifying, man. Stay prayed up out there. We're headed really into some perilous times, dangerous times, okay? Literally get all this truth that you possibly can. Continually be focused in the ministry and growing in the ministry, because we don't know. Jacob trouble can come any day. It can be here today. It can be here tomorrow. It can be here in the next couple of hours. We don't know when Jacob trouble is going to come, but it can come at any moment, any time. So hopefully this lesson was edifying. On to the next one I say. Shalom.